Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me? Fantastic. We'll start off the meeting. Thank you so much for everyone who's logged in. For those who are not familiar with my voice, this is Modoni Waigwa, Partnerships and Resource Mobilization. And before we can kick off the meeting, let us just have a moment of prayer. And after we have that moment of prayer, we'll take silence 1 minute to remember those that we have lost, such as Griffins and any other alumni. Okay? All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for life. We thank you for in our lives. Thank you that in this moment we're marking Easter, a moment in time where you died on the cross for our salvation. Cannot take it for granted. King of Kings, you are our Savior and our Deliverer. And I pray that you would be with us during this meeting. Give us guidance, give us wisdom, give us peace as we deliberate. And Lord, I pray that you would usher us to the end of the meeting with unity and with a sound mind. And Lord, we cannot do this without you. Be exalted and be magnified. In Jesus' name we pray. God's people said, Amen.
Amen.
So now we will just take a minute to remember those we have lost, starting now. All right. So thank you for holding that moment of silence for them. And now I'll introduce my fellow colleagues of the committee. Charles, who's our chairperson, and then Morgan, who's our participants engagement chair, and then Oliver, who's our communications chair. So thank you once again for joining us this meeting and for taking time out. I know we're living in a new normal and basically, yeah, we are all quarantined inside. Let's see so that we can protect ourselves and others. In this moment, I'd like to appreciate all of us who participated in the working group so we could compile our views and our issues to the Senate and Parliament towards the COVID-19 situation that's going. In addition, I'd also like to thank the alumni who are also currently running initiatives on ground or different counties responding to COVID-19. Just to mention a few, there's Harun in Kilifi, Waiven in Kwale, Simon in Nairobi, Venoranda in Kiambu, Nathaniel in Nairobi and Kisii as well, Stephanie in Kakamega, in Siaya, and for anyone else who I haven't mentioned, we truly appreciate your efforts. It's in a time like this that we need to come together in solidarity and help another, or help others within our community who are not able to help themselves. Would also to share any activities that they're doing right now and initiatives in response to COVID. I'm sure there are very many of you, so please share that we can showcase your work and see how we can help in mobilizing resources to support your initiatives. Amazing how time flies by. We started off this term last year, 2019, and here we are 2020, and we've finished a year. And we just want to thank our county leaders for the great work they've done throughout the year and keeping the county chapters running, and the sacrifices we do not take. They haven't gone unnoticed, and we truly thank you. And we urge you to continue sacrificing, mobile people at county level. So for those who haven't posted any questions on so now, so that we can collate the different questions and be able to answer them during the Q&A. And for those who have already sent in your questions, we appreciate it. Thank you. Keep your questions coming. Now, I would like us to proceed to where we're at right now and who we are as a country chapter. So basically, currently, we're a network of 1,300 and more in Kenya. And it's amazing how this started off way back, and we're so many. We exist to nurture lifelong friendships among the alumni who are based in Kenya. Secondly, we exist to empower alumni through initiatives to thrive, showcasing their achievements and linking them to opportunities and partnerships that they can leverage on for growth, and exist to give back to the community through youth empowerment and other community service initiatives across the country. What has worked for us through this past year is we have a clearly defined structure at the national and county level with scheduled decisions every 2 years. Secondly, onboarding of alumni immediately they finish or do their commencement at this continuous engagement thereafter, quarterly virtual meetings. Thirdly, we have clear objectives and consistent scheduled activities, if, for example, county visits and also monthly social activities. We also have agile communication alumni on the various platforms, so if that's email, WhatsApp, Telegram. And we thank you as well for staying engaged during those different calls. We also have regular community needs assessment and response. And also another thing that has worked for us this past year is partnerships and collaborations with partners, for example, with the universities, county governments, even the private sector, as well as the YALI MWF network. Key activities that stood out last year was the Transformation Summit that we held at Nairobi University. So from here, I'll hand over to my colleague who will take us through the next slide.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
So what we have is we are going to present an overview of the activities our county chapters have been engaged in over the past 1 year. Then we will share some updates from now the country chapter. I don't know if Morgan is ready. He can take us through the summary of the activity reports by the county chapters. Morgan. Okay, I think he's gone offline. So I'll try and do this bit. Now, in the month of May, we had some activities which were done by the Nakuru chapter. If you may recall, this is a month when we were having our elections and transition. So as a country chapter, we were not able to have any activities that month. But the chapter from Nakuru managed to start 1 million trees initiative, which was started in 3 primary schools in Nakuru and later spread to other parts of the county. That was the key activity that we had for the month of May. Morgan, I can say you are in. You'll take us through this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Charles. I think you muted me first.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so as Charles has just said, one of the key objectives that we had was to work with the county, strengthening our county chapters. And in the month of May, as he has just mentioned, Nakuru team did an environmental conservation initiative where they had an initiative to plant more than 1 million trees. So for now, they're still in the process of planting the 1 million trees. In the month of June, that was our second month after we got into the office. We did several, remember that time we also had application window for RLC opening. So we did information sessions for more than 29 counties. Just to mention some of the a few counties that did. Machakos County did information session via radio, that was Musi FM. We also did Radio Citizen. We did in Nyandarua County Assembly, West Pokot Youth Bunge, and many other counties that did the information session. In total, we had 29 counties. The same month of June, we went back to Karura for a monthly social event. Remember, it was the photos, Charles, if you can show the photos that we did. Also in the same month, our county leads from Nairobi attended, we were invited to attend the Young African Works launch by MasterCard at the Radisson Blu. The Nairobi chapter again in the month of June, partnered with other organizations which were led by alumni to organize reframing leadership and gender equality among teenagers in Kenya information session at the American Space in Bazaar. At the same month, we also partnered with one of our alumni organizations, that is CleanSat, to celebrate the Day of African Child at Dagoretti High School in Dagoretti. In the same month of June, again, Nakuru County, which has been one of our most active chapters, did the following events. They did an environmental sustainability and development event where they planted trees in Kilimo Primary, Jaton Primary, and Joro Precious Girls. Nakuru again did agribusiness and poultry farming event in Nakuru. They also celebrated the Day of child labor. On International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking by the United Nations, they also did an event on that day. In the month of July, here is where we had our monthly social event, where the Nairobi chapter partnered with Kajiado chapter to conduct the hiking at Ngong Hills. In the month of July, again, we had a talk on youth and leadership in Nakuru. That is not Nakuru, but we had it in Uasin County, Machakos County rather, and it was done on Musi FM. The month of July, we partnered again with the YALI RLCEA and Family Bank Foundation to do a tree planting exercise in Babadogo. In Uasin County, we did, this chapter did a Know Your Health event where they, on the day of celebrating the Day of Mandela, where they sensitize rehabilitated street youth on health hygiene issues. The county of Nakuru, the same month, Nakuru will hear mentioning much because they have a calendar of events that runs every month, where they did a digital literacy program at the American Space and servant leadership program, saving and investment program, governance and elections. So they did 4 events in the month of July. Not forgetting also they did a business startup event, Art for Leadership event too. And in the month of August, again, going back to, that is in Baringo. Baringo County partnered with Nyumba Kumi initiative and community leaders and religious leaders to do, and World Vision 2 to conduct a community dialogue on peace issues. The month of August, again, Nakuru County, the chapter did a Cancer Awareness Forum, International Day of Youth Celebration, Sexual Reproductive Health Among Teenagers, Understanding Human Rights, and Rights of Women. In the month of September, they also did entrepreneurship, 30-second pitch, and digital literacy program, transformative leadership and effective communication program. In the same month of September, we did a Mandela Washington Fellowship, which we were encouraging most of our YALI alumni to apply for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and we partnered with the YALI Network, Mandela Washington Fellows, and the YALI RLCEA Fellows, where we did outreaches for 38 counties. I'm happy that the chapter supported these, and we worked closely. And when you see, we say like we want to work closely with Mandela Washington and our journey toward a unified YALI, you see how we did the information session for Mandela Washington Fellows. And I know the Fellows just received their letters the other day, and a good number of the RLC alumni will be going for the fellowship that will be there next year. So we did it in 38 counties. Only 9 counties is where we didn't do the information session. And the same month, there was a donation of books by Kajiado chapter, where through the school initiative, they have a school initiative where they donate exercise books and other stationaries to primary schools. We also had a mentorship program by Murang'a County chapter at Murang'a Primary School. In October last year, during the International Day of Girl Child, the West Pokot County chapter celebrated the day to motivate and inspire young girls who are teen moms in West Pokot County. In November, we had a couple of events by Nakuru chapter. But we started by having a design thinking workshop at Murang'a University. We partnered with universities. Again, remember our key objective of partnering with institutions of higher learning, where we train more than 60 students on design thinking basics. In Kakamega, they did Women in Policy Making, the Alumni Innovation Fund project in partnership with the Office of the Women Rep, Media, and Kakamega Youth. In Uasin Gishu County, in the month of November, they did a youth dialogue, fostering youth participation toward peace building and countering violent extremism. In November, again, the same month, we had Uasin Gishu County doing a reproductive health and sexuality, educating youth on reproductive health in Uasin Gishu County. Nakuru County did a Art for Leadership under the theme of Hustle, the event that brought young entrepreneurs and aspirants alike with aim of sharing experience and encouraging those who wish to start but feel afraid or risk starting a business on how to start a business. They also did a celebrating 16-day of activism. Again, the same month, the Nakuru County have a leadership program where the same month there was a commencement ceremony for more than 200 students who underwent through this, learning the skills on human-centered design, computer security, blockchain, and blockchain technology, Kenya Sign Language, and introduction to computers. In December, the Mandera County, again in partnership with Mandela Washington Fellows, through the Alumni Innovation Fund, they did a program on countering violent extremism. In December, the team from Kisii County chapter did a medical camp where more than 350 people got free medical checkup, testing, and prescription. And also team Kisii did more than 1,500 trees planting in 10 schools. In December, Bomet County did a youth empowerment and mentorship workshop in Bomet. And in January, the team from Siaya team held the first meeting for the Siaya County, where they did a strategic planning meeting. Also in Baringo County, there was a consultative meeting on Nyumba Kumi initiative and leadership in partnership with religious leaders and county government of Baringo. In January, remember, we had the train going to coast counties, where we did a YALI Mashinani County visit. And we like to thank Arizon Mololo, who hosted us in Makueni, somewhere was it Shulu in Mboni, if I'm not wrong. Then also Nakuru County did entrepreneurship and fundamental of grant writing project, understanding human rights and celebrating of Martin Luther King Jr. They also did agribusiness. They trained people on potato plantation. In February, again, there was an information session from various counties. We didn't do much of the counties, remember. We only did Makueni, Kericho, Siaya, Machakos, Nyeri, and Kajiado. Kajiado, it was the first time they were doing the information session. The team from Nakuru did opportunities for African digital literacy programs, speech masters and public speaking, digital literacy, and servant leadership. In March, the team from Siaya County did a strategic planning meeting, and the team from Elgeyo Marakwet, in partnership with Eldo Hub, they did a computer skill and coding entrepreneurship training. This one, again, it is on alumni innovation funds. In March, Nakuru did a program on financial literacy, cybersecurity, and they also hosted us for YALI alumni social event at Hyrax Hills. Nakuru, again, they did International Day of Women celebration. And in April, which is the month that we are in, we had groups that were working on different issues that were presented to the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19. Thank you so much. That is what the counties did in the last 12 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. The next part of our meeting, we had projected to answer a number of questions, and we'll start with some of the questions which have been asked on the Slido platform, and then after that we will take a few questions from those who are in the meeting. So I'll start with the questions on the Slido platform. And the first one is, why is there corruption in YALI? Why are you people stealing our money? This has been upvoted by 4 people, so it's according to Slido, it's the most popular question right now. All the others have 1 vote each. So I'll try and respond to this. I don't think we have corruption in YALI, and I don't think we have money to steal because the money is not there in the first place. As you may be aware, YALI does not have a bank account, which has meant that it has not been possible for us to fundraise. And that has also meant that we have been unable to apply for grants or funding from either the embassy or other partners. What we have done is whenever an opportunity has come, we have linked it to our alumni, either through their county chapters or registered CBOs, or where the funding is coming from, let's say the US Department of State, that's the US Alumni Innovation Fund. We have referred our county chapters to apply. So as you have seen in the report by Morgan, in the last year, we had 3 of our counties, which we supported to apply for and secure that fund. Mandera was one of the counties. They ran a program on women, empowering women against violent extremism. Kakamega did a project on women in policymaking. And one of our other chapters also did a project using the AEIF. This year, we did not have the transformation fund. We're expecting that it may be relaunched in the coming months and that it will be possible for us to apply as a chapter, as well as refer some of our alumni to apply either as county chapters, cohort groups, or as individuals. So for now, the funding we have been using mostly has been what comes from us. I think we'll be making a report on this later in the meeting on the strategies we have in the coming year to change that. The second question is not actually a question, it's a comment. Great, how does this platform work? I think it's working as it is now. The third one was good to be here. Is there a general plan from the chapter on what we can do for the community at this time? And what I can say we are doing, for starters, as a county chapter, we are taking part in addressing the policy and legislative issues around COVID-19. And this is why from last week until Wednesday of this week, we mobilized our alumni to form 5 thematic areas, which I wish to commend the team that worked on that. We received a very detailed memoranda, which was transmitted to the Senate on Wednesday evening, containing the views and policy proposals of our alumni on what can be done to address health issues, finance and economic issues, social, human rights, justice, rule of law, public order, agricultural value chain addition, provision of food and water, and also issues of ensuring continuity, including ICT. So that is one of the things our alumni have been doing. Secondly, in terms of individual initiatives, we have quite a number of alumni who are running a number of activities, including distribution, manufacture of soap, and distribution to vulnerable communities. We have those who are running feeding programs. We have those who are offering counseling and psychosocial support to traumatized families. We have those who are distributing food baskets to those who do not have. We have so many alumni initiatives around that area, and I remember I outlined a number of them in the WhatsApp group earlier this week. So as a chapter, what we are doing is actively supporting them because they're already on the ground doing something, and we're also supporting them to raise resources. So for instance, at this time in the last 2-3 days, we have been working on coming up with a joint proposal for all of the Kenya alumni who are involved in responding to COVID-19. Then we are going to use that to look for funding from both corporate and other partners so that we can upscale what they are doing. The next question, there was also the question of how do we ensure continuity of alumni engagement and social activities during COVID. So first of all, we need to comply with the government directives in place on social distancing and not holding meetings. So we are working on that. But secondly, in terms of alumni engagement, part of what we are doing even now is in responding to this because we can't have a physical meeting, but we can make use of technological innovations such as Zoom to have this meeting. The next question was, after the fall of our hero Griffins, what is the chapter doing to carry on with his plans, especially on helping patients with sickle cell? This is a discussion we started when we were in Bungoma. We had a meeting with the First Lady of Bungoma County, who is one of the patrons of the sickle cell anemia organization in the country. And we are in the process of discussing how we can join that effort. As you may remember, Griffins was traveling to Voi, where they were opening a sickle cell clinic. The clinic was opened and it was named the Griffins Memorial Clinic in Taita Taveta, Voi. When we went for the funeral in Bungoma, the governor also announced that the sickle cell hospital in Bungoma will also be named Griffins Memorial Hospital. So we are working with them and the organization to ensure that his legacy lives on, and we'll also look at more opportunities for us to engage in awareness and support for that community. The next is a comment, not a question. The next question is, how many counties have the chapter taken the monthly events to, and why are these events not reaching the other counties? So for this one, in the last 12 months, we have held 3 of our social events outside Nairobi. One was the hike in Ngong Hills in Kajiado. The next one was the Kereita ziplining and hiking event, which was in Kiambu. And the third one was the monthly social activity for March, which was in Nakuru. The next planned event, as at the time COVID came, we were to have it in Machakos County. The Machakos team had already organized for that. And we are planning to roll out the other events in counties across the country. The challenge has been that for us in Nairobi, we are not able to organize events in the counties without the support of the alumni in those counties. So what we continually urge the alumni to do is, if there is someone with that initiative at the county level, we can come in and support in terms of logistics, in terms of mobilization, in terms of ensuring that the event is a success. So it's something we are continually working with our county leaders to do. And we hope that in this coming year, we'll be able to roll it out to more and more counties. There is a question of how is YALI RLC engaging with governments within the region to encourage for their support to the initiatives that are managed by YALI alumni. I think this is a question that would better be directed at RLC, but what I know from the conversations we have had with them is that our partnerships and resource mobilization team is working with the partnerships and resource mobilization team at RLC, so that when they approach partners or when we approach partners, it addresses both issues of how do they support the ongoing program at RLC and how do they support the alumni initiatives. So we are hoping that in a few months' time, this will bear fruit and that we will have more partners coming on board who can support activities of alumni. There is a question of what is YALI doing to add flattening COVID-19 pandemic curve in Africa. I mentioned what as a country chapter we have done and also what some of our alumni are doing. There's a question on when will the by-election for the post of the late Griffin be. I'll respond to that one later in the meeting. There's a question of how are you planning to strengthen your relationship with government. I think our relationship with government is quite strong. If you may recall, when we had the YLTS last year, we had representation both from the executive, that's a State Department for Youth, and we also had representation from Parliament, that's the Kenya Youth Parliamentarians Association. We are still working with them, especially now that the Department of Youth has moved to the Ministry of ICT and Innovation. And we are looking at initiatives where we can plug into their work and where they can also support us. I think where the challenge has been is at the level of county governments. And this has been for the reason that most of the county governments we have approached, they have taken the perspective that they can only engage with registered youth groups. So since most of our county chapters were not registered, we have been encouraging them over the past 1 year to register as CBOs in their respective counties and sub-counties. And as at the last report which we did last month, about 13 of our county chapters are now registered as CBOs, and we're encouraging the rest of the county chapters to also register as CBOs. This opens many doors of opportunities for us, not just in terms of partnership with county governments, but also in terms of fundraising from other partners, including applying for grants from the embassy and from other partners. How might we prepare the alumni to react better in terms of difficult situations like COVID-19? This one I think is asking about alumni reactions, and possibly what I would say is we are doing our best in terms of giving information. Possibly it's an area we can do more in terms of awareness creation, particularly on the area of mental health of our alumni during this time. But we've taken note. We'll see what we can do more in that area. What can we do right now in the face of recent health developments globally? I think that's related to COVID-19 as well. What can the YALI group do about the Kenyans in China? This was included in the memoranda that we sent as YALI to Parliament. It's being addressed. I strongly suggest a review of how we are engaging the alumni. So it's a suggestion, but it does not set out any specifics. It would be good if you can indicate the specifics. What are the specific areas where you think we need to engage alumni differently? Could we also have a YALI Day, want to celebrate alumni initiatives? I think I'll come back to this later in the meeting. We have a place for it. Could we also have a YALI Day? That one I have read. From the questions asked, I don't think most of us understand our mandate. Please come up with an awareness campaign. That's a good question. That's a good comment. I think we will look at it. And the latest question, the latest is actually this comment that most of us may not understand our mandates. We'll come back to that in the next phase. I'm going now to the group chat. I can see one question from, I think I saw a question from Nancy, yes. What can be done to the inactive county chapters for them to be active? Are there any plans? Now, what I can say is that how county chapters are active or inactive depends a lot on the members of those county chapters. As the leadership, we can only do so much in terms of creating awareness, in terms of trying to stop you, in terms of trying to support and link alumni together. What we have largely been doing is identifying alumni who are active in a county, linking them together. Then whenever one has an initiative, we try and mobilize the other alumni from that area to participate. And also, as far as we can, we have been visiting the county chapters. I remember in the previous year, we visited around 32 county chapters. This year, we have been able to visit, I think, around 17 county chapters. And what we have noticed is that whenever we do the county visits, we are able to link together alumni who may actually be living in the same place, but they don't know each other. But when we visit and we're able to bring all of them together, then it becomes possible for us to know one another, to establish those social friendships and so on, and eventually the chapters start being active. So what I would say is we are doing our best, but also as our alumni, we depend on you to hold your county leaders to account. In that, if you are a member of a county chapter which is inactive, you can take the initiative to hold them to account, ask them what they are doing, and if they are not ready to lead, then you can also volunteer to lead the county chapters. Because what we have seen happening in most cases is where we have a county lead who is inactive, the county chapter more or less dies out. Then when we have a change and a county leader who is very active takes over, then immediately the county chapter picks up. So what we have noticed is there is a very direct correlation between how vibrant and active a county leader is and how active and vibrant that county chapter is. So it's something we will throw back to you. Please help us support your county chapters. For those who are in Nairobi, check on your county chapters, like where you come from. If they require support, please support them. If they require funding and you are not able to travel, but they need to run an event and you can send them something, please do. Let's support one another. Because what I also know is that a lot of our county leaders would want to do so much, but they are not able to because they may not have all the resources that they need. But if each one of us can give something and contribute towards meeting the expenses of running some of the events, then it would be possible for our county to do much more. But again, we can come back to you to give us suggestions. I think the other comment I can make on that statement is, as at May last year, when this year was starting, we had about 11 chapters which were active. As at now, we have about 23 chapters which are very active. Some of the chapters that have really come up during this year, and which I think I need to mention, one is Siaya County. As at last year, we did not have an active chapter in Siaya. Right now, Siaya is one of our most active chapters. And I wish to thank John and the team from Siaya for what they have done. They usually have meetings every month. Sometimes they meet in Nairobi, sometimes in Siaya. Right now, they are one of the chapters that is leading in responding at the community level to COVID-19. They've done information materials which they have translated to Luos and are using it to create awareness in the community. So they are doing so much, and it all depended on a simple change of the county leader. So I'll throw the challenge to you again. If you come from a county chapter that is not doing well, and you know that you have the passion and the commitment and you are willing to drive it forward, please step up, take up the mantle and lead. That opportunity is open. And also support those who are in office so that they do not get discouraged. Let me go through the chat again. I can see the question by Bisakaya, which WhatsApp group did you share the information, since I didn't come across it? I'm not sure which information. I'm a new member to the social platforms. Can the representatives kindly arrange for like mentorship meeting to keep these new members up to speed? Okay, that one is also noted. We will do that. Let me see if there is any other question on Slido before we go back to now the meeting. Or let's go back to the meeting, then at the end we will go back to Slido and answer any questions that will have come up to that time. So I'm going to put up the slide again. Let me just display it. Hold on. And I'll take you through the next phase of the meeting. So Muthoni has presented on what has worked for us, and Morgan has presented on our key activities during the year. Just to reinstate, we had the monthly social activities, which have run every month except this month because of the COVID-19 and last month. We continued to have design thinking workshops, digital literacy training, mentorship activities, and so on, primarily in 13 universities, colleges, and community groups across the country. And we continue to support our alumni and county chapters, as well as to showcase alumni initiatives and to visit their projects whenever we could. That photo on the right is from the camp we had in Kerita Forest last year, which went quite well. We had a big number of alumni attending. It was the first overnight camp and hike organized by our chapter or any of our neighboring chapters in the region. And why we keep having these activities is because, as we have said before, we realized that when alumni become friends and build those social networks and bonds, it becomes much, much easier for them now to support each other's initiatives to thrive and also to serve the community together. So it's like an entry point that now enables us to achieve our other objectives as a chapter. Then other developments is finally we managed to register a charitable foundation. We are calling it Do Good Foundation. We registered it in November last year, and this will primarily be used for partnerships and fundraising activities. You may remember the discussion we have had for quite a while about being denied permission to use the name YALI. So we came up with a different name, that's Do Good Foundation. We've had discussions with our partners, they're okay with the name. So what we are doing at the moment is we are pursuing issuance of a PIN certificate by KRA, as well as tax exemption status. Then with that, we will be able to open a bank account and pay bill number. And hopefully this one will address the challenge we have been having in terms of resource mobilization. Secondly, in strengthening our partnership in participation in law, policy, and governance processes, our alumni have been taking part in the work being undertaken by their governments. In Kiambu County, we had an instance where all markets were closed. That was at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. And our Kiambu chapter submitted a petition to the county government giving alternatives to closure of markets. They said, for instance, why can't you open an open air market in a school field where people will be able to observe social distancing? And as a result of that, after meeting the governor, the measures were taken on board. A number of markets have been reopened, and it's one of the successes we see from coming together as alumni. And as Morgan also mentioned, this week we submitted a memorandum to Parliament on responses to the COVID-19 pandemic. We also continue to pursue strategic partnerships with institutions of learning, government agencies at national and county level, CSOs, and other youth organizations. So on changing course, we have been mentioning for a while that there are a number of changes we plan to make, and that relates to our vision, our mission statement, our objectives, our core values, our slogan, and so on. I'll just highlight a few. In terms of vision, from 1st of May, we want to work with the vision of being the leading network of young leaders, empowered and driving socio-economic and political transformation in Kenya. Now, this came out of the engagement we had last year. It's a process that took about 6 months, where we were coming up with our strategic plan as a chapter. We had several strategy meetings at KU and some in town, and we came up with this vision that as the YALI Alumni Chapter of Kenya, we want to become the #1 youth-led, youth-focused organization, and we want to become the leading network of young leaders who are empowered, but not just empowered, are also driving socio-economic and political transformation in our country. And I'm quite happy with what we were able to do this week. I think it's something we should continue. I think the 5 thematic areas that we formed, those teams should remain and help the ongoing dialogue on other areas that we can address. Our mission statement is promoting transformational leadership through continuous learning, capacity building, and advocacy in collaboration with like-minded partners and entities. And our objectives are to support and strengthen alumni engagement through networking and collaboration, to promote the socioeconomic well-being and political engagement of the youth in Kenya and beyond, to champion service to the community by alumni, to undertake advocacy on issues of interest and concern to our alumni, and to pursue strategic partnerships towards realization of the chapter's vision. Our slogan for 2019-20 has been Leading for Impact. We are changing that this year to Celebrating Transformation. Part of the reason for this is that this year marks the 10th anniversary of YALI. YALI was started in 2010. It has been there for 10 years. So I had mentioned that I would answer the question of, can we have a YALI day? It's actually in the works. We plan to have a day when we will just celebrate the work our alumni are doing, and thereafter we hope we can make it an yearly event. So that's in terms of changing course. And so in terms of strategic issues, we'll have 5 key strategic issues which are inward and a number which are also outward looking. I'll start with the inward looking ones. First, we hope to have more streamlined communication. This is through our website, which has been there, and we plan to populate it with much more content. Secondly, we had mentioned that we are setting up a WhatsApp broadcast. I can mention that now that WhatsApp broadcast is in place, and soon we will start using it to send messages directly to our alumni. What this will do is sometimes you go to the WhatsApp groups and you find there are 100 messages. And that means it's very easy to miss out on information which might be important because you are not able to go through the messages. So we want to be sending messages through WhatsApp broadcast to everyone's mobile phone. And then we link that to our website where someone can go and now get the full story. We'll also do more in terms of updating our social media platforms, our Telegram channels, our county and cohort groups, and also we have the plan for the newsletter on. Secondly, we plan to do more in terms of sharing opportunities with our alumni. This is opportunities for learning, training, publicity, funding, and collaboration, either with other alumni or with other organizations. Thirdly, we are looking towards strengthening our governance framework. Most key in this regard being establishment of an advisory board where we can bring a number of experts in resource mobilization, strategy, branding, monitoring and evaluation, and so on, who would be able to help us in designing programs which are impactful and executing them and telling the story. Fourthly, we hope to have more enhanced member engagement. Part of it is what we are doing today. As opposed to just sending messages on WhatsApp, we want to have avenues where we can speak to you and you can also speak to us. We can get your views. We have been running the quarterly meetings on WhatsApp, but now we plan to be running the quarterly meetings in a town hall format as we are doing today. The fifth one, this coming year, we hope to do more in terms of financial literacy. And this comes from a persistent question that we have had, I think, for the last a few years since our alumni chapter was founded, which is why can YALI not start a circle, and what can we do to empower our members financially? Our view has been that converting YALI into a circle will distract from our key objectives and eventually may lead us in a different direction from why we are meant to exist. So what we hope to do instead is to partner more with organizations that offer financial literacy training to young people, and then we can look for linkages, for instance, with the Youth Bunge and other youth-focused financial models and tools, so that our alumni are able to acquire the financial literacy skills and are able to do more and are able to access, to get places where they can save and access funding in terms of borrowing opportunities. There are also a number which are inward-looking, which are outward-looking, and these are about 5 of them. The first one is we are hoping to do more in terms of mentorship. We've primarily done a lot over the past year in training, for instance, in design thinking, in digital skills to university students, but we want to shift the focus to high schools and primary schools. One of our counterpart chapters in DRC has been running a very successful program known as YALI Kids, which they have rolled out in primary schools across the country, where they train them on basics of leadership, personal vision development, and so on. So we hope we can start a mentorship program that can be implemented in high schools and primary schools across the country, and which will involve a lot of our alumni across the country. And this is also an initiative which would cost us very little money. Other than the curriculum development, all it would take is someone to leave their office, go to a school, do the mentorship session, and then go back to their office. So that is one thing we are looking at. Secondly, we are looking at building our brand as the alumni chapter. We hope to have our own logo in the coming months, which is separate and distinct from RLC, but have our own sort of independent entity and existence as the alumni chapter. We hope to mobilize and amplify youth voices more in terms of engagement in policy, lawmaking, and governance. We hope to do more in terms of community outreach. We hope to do more in terms of youth empowerment. And we will be sharing more of this in the coming months in the coming weeks before the new year begins on 1st of May. Back to the presentation. And I had mentioned that we will share about some leadership transitions. And this is also in responding to the questions which were asked about when we plan to have a by-election to fill the position of Griffins, who was our networking and events communication chair. So according to the alumni handbook, which is essentially our constitution as the alumni, when there is a vacancy of 1 or 2 or 3 positions in a chapter, then an election is not held. Instead, the committee in place is mandated to identify alumni who are suitable to fill that position and actually fill that position. So what we have done is we have had discussions with RLC, the alumni department and the leadership team there on what we can do. And we're also putting this out to you as our members because we need your ownership of these changes. We will not be having an election because there is no provision for that, and because we also felt that it would be disruptive to have one at this point in time. So what we have done is to reorganize our team slightly, one to address the gaps that we have been having in terms of that docket for networking and events, and also to take now the members of the team to areas in which we felt they can use their strongest skills and abilities in pushing us forward. So Mr. Morgan Ochieng, who has been serving as our participant engagement chair, will effective 1st of May move to the networking and events docket as our networking and events committee chair. This is an area where he worked very closely with Griffins. As you might remember, he was always there organizing events, doing the posting and so on. We feel he's quite up to the task. We've not had many events for the last few months since the demise of Griffins in late January. So this is an area that Morgan is going to pick up and ensure that we hit the road running as soon as this COVID is over. And even before that, we have more online engagements and other activities which we can engage in before we are free to do our normal events. The second change, Ms. Oliver Jemuge, who has been serving as our communications chair, will now be moving to occupy the position of participant engagement chair. And this is in responding to the question that was asked by Nancy. How do we support the inactive county chapters, possibly to pick up to the level of Nakuru and the other chapters which are very active? So as you might know, our most active chapter since 2016 has been the Nakuru chapter. Oliver was one of the founder members of the Nakuru chapter in 2016 and has been leading it until now. And what we hope to achieve with this move is that with the lessons and the experience that she has gained over the past almost 5 years, she's going to use that in building up our county chapters. So she's going to participant engagement, but her specific mandate in this case is to work with the county chapters, to support the county leaders, to speak with them on a weekly basis, to find out what activities they are doing, what they are planning, what challenges they are having, and essentially to be their first point of call in addressing any challenges that they might have. So that's the docket that Oliver will be taking from 1st of May, participant engagement, with a specific focus on county chapters. So we welcome a new participant to the committee. That's Ms. Diana Warira. Some of you may know her, especially the more recent cohorts, but she has been so active in our activities that it's easy for most of those who have been active to know her. She's been participating, she's been tweeting a lot, she's been posting on all our social media platforms and so on. I'll share a bit more about her on the next slide. Then the positions of chairperson and resource mobilization, those ones remain as is with Mudhoni and myself. We'll also be having some changes in the leadership of county chapters. These ones we will announce them later this month. So on the next slide is a brief about Diana. She's a communications specialist with 11 years experience in development communications, 7 of which have been at the interface of communicating research to inform public policymaking in Africa. Her profile is there about what she has done and what she's doing now. She's an alumni of cohort 33 and also the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars, among others. And she holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Information Science, and she's also doing her master's at Desta University, again in communication. So you might have noticed that we have been doing so many activities, but we've not been able to achieve some of the goals we have set for ourselves. Part of that is publishing a regular newsletter, populating our website, and also sharing what we are doing on our social media platforms. So that is what Diana is coming on board to support us with. And with your concurrence as our members, from 1st of May, she's going to serve in the executive committee as our communications committee chair. So before I go to the next slide, I would want to invite Diana. I know she is in the meeting, to possibly say hi to us, and so that at least you can hear her voice. If she can turn on her video, you can see her. Diana, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Charles.
Yes.
I mean, sorry, I'm in a room full of people. I may not.
Acceptance speech.
Thank you so much. So I'm really grateful to the executive committee for this appointment, and for sure it came as a surprise, but it's also an honor. And as we all know, this opportunity has risen out of a place of pain following the untimely departure of our friend and colleague Griffins. And I owe it to him to play this role as well. because he had great ideas on how to strengthen the alumni's communications work. In fact, the first time we met, he told me we should partner on strengthening the alumni's online engagement, as he admired how I did online engagement, as Charles has mentioned. So besides serving the alumni network, I'm also taking up this role in honor of briefings. And I know there's a lot we can do together. A lot already has been done. There's a lot of amazing work that has already been done by the communications chair. And I see myself coming in to strengthen those efforts as we also explore new ideas as a team and as a network. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Diana. I think now after that, we'll go back to questions and answers. I can see a lot of congratulatory messages coming in the chat. So Diana, please take note of that. Then let me try to go back to Slido. Give me just a moment to open and display that page. I can see lots of new congratulatory messages coming in. Let me open Slido, but in the meantime, for those who are not able to access Slido, you can also type your questions in the chat box. We will see them as well. But let me check if we have any more questions on Slido, then I'll display them and we can respond to them. So I've seen it. Let me display it. Okay. So on Slido, how far had we go? We had gone up to this question. From the questions asked, I don't think most of us understand our mandate. Please come up with an awareness campaign. That's something we will do. There's a question, who's responding to the questions? I think we are doing that. Is there a way of sharing information on the county-based COVID response, such as a memoranda etc., to enable us to learn from one another and build momentum? That's a good suggestion. What we have been doing is we have a group with all the county leaders. We have been sharing with them what the respective counties are doing. And actually, the county chapters have been learning a lot from one another. But maybe what we can do is also to share information more in our other general groups, so that if the county leader is not taking action, then the rest of the members can also take action. Thanks for setting a YALI Alumni Foundation. I'm thinking the YALI Alumni should be financing the foundation, maybe on a monthly basis. That's a good suggestion. We'll take it up, and possibly from next month, once the only thing that is holding us at the moment is that we've really had a challenge with getting the PIN number from KRA, which, because normally being a charitable foundation, that also means we would be tax exempt. And it's taken a bit of time. We are hoping that it can be done soon, so that once that is completed, we're able to open a bank account, have a pay bill number, then alumni can start contributing towards supporting alumni activities. And this would be both the national office and the county chapters. The other thing having our own bank account will do is that it will be possible for us to apply for so many grants. For those of you who normally follow the US Embassy website, at this moment, for instance, there's a number of grants, some of them specific to COVID-19, but we are not able to apply for it as a country chapter because although now we are registered, we do not have a bank account. We need to be registered and to have a bank account. So we are partnering with youth CBOs of our members which are already registered to apply for that fund. But we hope that once we have our own account, it will be possible for us to apply directly. The next question is there any plan to do new brand t-shirts for the alumni willing to pay? Now, there are two approaches to this. One approach is where we were coming up with an altogether unique design. Unfortunately, this is one of the projects that was driven by Griffins. And when Griffins left us, we've not been able to pick it up. And he's the one who started the project of branding hoodies and polo shirts and pens and notebooks. And I have those ones. I have my hoodie and so on, and they are really, really beautiful. They are warm, they are snug and so on. But we've not been able to pick it up after that. Hopefully it's something we'll pick up from next month. But beyond that, in terms of the YALI t-shirts, the ones being issued at RLC, like the one you got when you joined RLC, we have been in discussions with RLC, following on requests from members whose t-shirts are very far from white. And what we have agreed with them is that the person who prints the t-shirts for the new cohorts at RLC can also print the t-shirts for us, the exact same t-shirts. Then we will get them at I think it was coming to around 550 if I'm not wrong. So we'll probably circulate an online form after this for all those who are interested to fill in their details in terms of their size, and then make the payment, and then we will have the t-shirts printed. There are those who have said they specifically want the YALI t-shirt as it is. They don't want another design, so we will do that as well. Then for those who want the other design which Griffins had come up with, we will also explore that option. The last question, kindly share the thematic areas. Can we still plug in? I did not see the information. Okay, these one, the 5 thematic areas were specific to the memorandum we were doing to the Senate. And so those 5 groups are there. The first group is on health issues. The second thematic area is on economic and finance. And this includes small business owners and people who are affected by all the disruptions taking place. The third thematic area was on social, public order, and human rights. And the fourth thematic area was on access to food and water and other essential commodities. Thematic area 5 was support services and cross-cutting issues. Now, what we hope to do in the coming year, and we had actually tried to do this sometimes before using the Slack platform, is to have alumni operate in terms of their areas of interest. If it is public policy, if it is agriculture, if it is rural community empowerment, and so on. These are some of the things we had in mind. I like your question and the fact that you want to plug in. We will share that information in the coming week so that those who are interested can join. So we've exhausted the questions there. Let me see if there are any more questions in the chat. There's a question, can we, the t-shirts for families like our kids, can we have the t-shirts designed even for families? Okay, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I don't know if we can have the t-shirts for kids. It's something we'll have to consult with RLC, but we hadn't thought about that. So we will have to think about it and come up with a decision. I think that's it in terms of questions. So it's 6:19. We have about 10 minutes. Oliver will be closing for us. I know she will take around 5 minutes or so. That means we have an allowance of about 5 minutes where now you guys can speak and say something before Oliver comes back to close the meeting for us. So let me see. How do we go about this? There is a feature to raise your hand. I don't know if you can see it either on your machine or on your phone. If you raise your hand, we will give you to speak. Alternately, just indicate in the chat that you would like to say something, and then we'll allow you to say something. And then at exactly 6:25, I'll invite Oliver to come and close. Or if you'd like to speak but you're unable to mute your mic, just make a yes. I can see Josek wants to speak. Yeah, let's start with Josek.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, Charles, and the executive, and good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Mine is not really a question, but number one is just to appreciate for the good COVID-19. And I just want to let or request members, let us be sensitive with what we are posting, especially some misleading information concerning the COVID-19. And I think it's not really good. So I think I just emphasize, let us think, reflect before we post online. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Let's keep it short for those who will be speaking. Morgan, patia mbwa chakula.
Umenisikia?
Eh. Oh, okay. Anyone else? Chris,
I'll
how are
mute
you?
my
Mr. Bosire.
Thank you, Charles, for the good job. And I'd like to say that congratulations to the whole leadership, and you are doing a very good job. And as we even flatten the curve, let's also remember to check on our friends. It's very important that we check on our friends, those who are living in Kenya and those who are living abroad. And let us remember also to check on our police friends, all those who are in positions of leadership, so that we can encourage them to stop with the excesses that we are seeing. Many people using a lot of unnecessary force. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. We have 2 minutes for anyone else who may want to say something. If you'd like to speak and you're not able to unmute yourself, Judith, I can see you want to speak. Let me see if I can unmute you.
Hello, guys.
Hi, Judith.
Yes, first I want to congratulate you guys. Have done amazing. It's I'm glad that you brought this up. I just want to say one thing. Maybe probably we could try to support one another. There's so many initiatives that people are really doing. And if we support as a YALI alumni, I think this will go miles. Just small steps that count. If one of us has some project or something that is running, as a YALI alumni, if we come together and support this, I'm sure we'll be able to make an impact or reach someone that's one is project to be able to reach. Otherwise, congratulations guys for starting this one up. And good to see you guys.
Thank you. Stephen Obare.
Hi guys, I think I was just greeting everyone and just more or less also concur with the rest of spoken about being appreciative of the work that Charles and your team are doing.
Yes.
And definitely hope that we'll be able to also do our part in terms of supporting
Thank you, Stephen. Douglas?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for setting this up. And mine was just I'm really happy for this initiative, the first meeting we've had. And I'm hoping maybe the alumni can work around, the officials can work around so that we can even start doing some events even online. Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas. It's now 6:26. I'll now invite Oliver, who is going to make the closing remarks for us.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Yeah. Thank you very much. I really want to thank all of you for joining this session today. It's really a unique way that you've done it differently this time around, and we are very happy. For my 4 minutes, I just want to close by asking all of us to join thematic groups that our chairs just mentioned. We have different thematic areas that we are trying to find solution as YALI people. And I would encourage each and every one of you to try and find an area that you feel you can offer yourself, you can pay back to the society. Identify that group and join it, and let's work together. Secondly, the alumni chapter is made up of county chapters, and as you've seen, I've now moved to a new committee of participant engagement. That's an area that we look forward to strengthen and see how we can. The chapter is made up by county chapters, so strengthening county chapters will enable us work better and be able to deliver well. So I'll encourage each and every one of you at least be in a county chapter. If you're based in Nairobi, Murang'a, Siaya, Kiambu, at least identify a chapter that you can actively engage in, a chapter that you can be in a position to offer yourself and offer your services to be able to strengthen our chapter. And we shall be able to move on very well. Would also like to remind you about our committees. We still have our committees active and running. We have the participant engagement committee, we have the communication committee, we have the networking and events committee. Just like the others that I've mentioned, please identify an area committee that you feel like you can be able to deliver, you can be able to give to volunteer yourselves. The communication committee, we need people who will be designing posters for us. We need people to help us develop content. We need people to ensure that YALI is visible. So I'll encourage each and every one of you to identify a committee that you are very comfortable in and join that committee so that you can be able to move very well together. Our county chapters and national chapter require resources in one way or another. I'll urge you to be ready and respond to any call, both at the county and national level. Any call to support the chapter or support the county chapter, please let's be on standby. And Morgan. And finally, I'd like to mention about the social events that we've been running. Unfortunately, due to the COVID thing, we are not able to attend the Machakos one, but we hope that this thing is going to end soon. We pray that we are going to overcome this very soon. And we request you that anytime we are done, we'll be able to do the physical gathering. But either way, we'll try and find a way of doing it online as we've done it today. We can plan a social activity online. Anyway, it's possible. But as we wait for the COVID thing to pass, we hope that we'll be able to go back there. And we encourage all of you to find, if a social activity is coming to your county, say next time you're going to Machakos people, Nairobi people, let's show up. I don't have much to say. And I'll just say bye-bye. And thank you very much. Back to you, Chair, as we finish.
So thank you, everyone. It's exactly 6:30 as we had projected. We are very grateful that you have stayed with us since 5 p.m. Those who joined us right from the beginning. This was a trial for us. We hope it has worked well for you, and that now when we roll it out for our next meetings, you will be joining us. Please go make noise on social media, our WhatsApp platforms, and so on. Say how successful this was, so that other people can join us the next time we have such a meeting. What I've noticed with the alumni is they prefer to join something after others have already tested it. So now that you've tested it for us, please go make noise and support us, and we'll be very grateful. So I wish you all a very happy Easter, and please continue observing social distancing and the other measures in place. Those of us in government are doing a lot to ensure that the curve is flattened, and please do your part, as the CS keeps saying. So stay safe. I hope to see you all soon. We'll resume our county visits as soon as this is over. So we hope to see many of you in the coming year. Heidi, thank you for joining us. Sidhani mkutano ilifaa kuisha kama hujatusalimia. So maybe I'll just allow you to say hi and make the closing prayer for us.
very serious. I should have left.
Uh-huh.
I should have left. I really don't have much to say. A lot has been covered. Congratulations for the good work you're doing. Congratulations, Diana, for being appointed. You know, when people are being appointed into spaces, yeah. So it's good to hear from all of you. Stay safe. I really don't have much to say.
Amen. So please make the closing prayer for us.
I pray?
Yes.
Okay,
Due to
let's
public
pray.
demand.
I know who are talking. Okay, let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for your grace, for your mercy, Lord, for just gathering us together for this meeting. Lord, we thank you because we are the called ones. So Father, dear Lord, you've called us to provide leadership to other youth during this time of uncertainty, during this time of fear, Lord, that you're calling us to be messengers of hope. You're calling us to be people who are being proactive and getting solutions for this time. Lord, we thank you for this period of Easter. We thank you for your death and for your resurrection, oh Father, dear Lord. As we remember that, we pray that, oh Father, you continue giving us hope even for this time. Lord, we pray that everything that has been discussed, oh Lord, may be brought to fruition, oh Father, dear Lord. And we pray for others who couldn't join the meeting, Lord, that you keep them safe. We remember our leadership, our nation, and everyone, oh Father, dear Lord, that they may remain strong and safe during this period. Thank you and glorify you. It's in Jesus' name we pray and believe.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Yes, bye.
That is Vero.
Yes.
Weka video kidogo tukuone.
Asha matuta.
Okay. So thank you, everyone.
Mr. Charles.
Yes, Joseph.
Yeah, you can share the slides.
Yes, we are going to share
Thank you,
them shortly.
everyone. Bye.
All right, thank you.
Wacha tumalize kukarabati, then we will share.
All right.
Yes.
See you people. Bye.
Sawa sawa, Morgan.
Morgan.
See you, Chris. Yeah.
Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, goodbye, everyone. Malik.
Bye. See you next time.
Malik, leo umenyamaza sana. Salimia wananchi.
Za online Malik Kawasani.
Yes.
Imeisha boss.
Habari ya jioni.
Nikashatoroka kafyu.
Salama.
Oliver.
Yes.
Mambo.
Eddie.
Nancy sasa. Nancy.
Tunafunga milango.
Tunafunga milango, utapatikana.
Oliver, wacha kelele.
Tulia wewe. Feedback amelisha dogi.
Sisi tunapika kelele sana.